maybe the game I'm most geeked about on the schedule is the Sunday night football matchup between my Green Bay Packers, Austin's Green Bay Packers, and these Tennessee Titans, who are a very good football team on Sunday Night Football.
Right here.
Before we dive into this matchup, if you're new to the YouTube channel, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, and go ahead and comment below any fantasy football relevant questions you have for the Fantasy Whisperers, and we will be glad to get back to you on that one. This is the highest over-under on the slate. It's a 56-point over-under. It's the number one over-under here, and I think, guys, it might be the number one over-under on the season. And Green Bay favored by just 3.5 means it's going to be a close one, which means there's so much meat on the fantasy football bone in this matchup. And so we're going to start here, Austin, with Ryan Tannehill, who has just been really good at fantasy and real football for the Tennessee Titans since taking over this job.
Yeah, and I think he's even been kind of an underrated stud. I mean, he's the number 7 quarterback on the season, and he's gone under 20 fantasy points just 3 times while getting 30 or more points 5 times this season, with last week's 43 points a season high. That is in 6-point passing touchdown leagues. But he has shown a little bit of downside against tougher defenses, and Green Bay's defense comes in letting up the 9th fewest points to, as you put, enemy quarterbacks. So you're still going to be starting Ryan Tannehill in this game, but you do have to temper expectations as Green Bay's defense is a little bit better against quarterbacks than you might expect.
Johnny, what does that mean, if anything, for Derrick Henry? I mean, obviously we're not benching him, but just how good has he been, and how much are fantasy football GMs salivating at this matchup against Green Bay?
Well, you talk about how good has Derrick Henry been. Coming into this game, he has one less 2-touchdown game. He's got 4 of those. Then on the season, then he has scoreless games on the season in 5. So he's double-digit touchdowns in 4 and 0 touchdowns in 5. Like, that's pretty miraculous. And I expect Henry to tie that up this week, with 5 games of 2 touchdowns or more, with his 5 games of non-scoreless touchdowns against the Packers. Listen, you guys talked about points surrendered to opposing enemy positions. Well, the Green Bay Packers, they haven't been calling the opposing running back the enemy. They've been calling him their friend, because they're just saying, hey, just like they do with the fans. Hey, I love Green Bay Packers fans, but they're just like, hey, come join us, have some beer, because they're having top 5 in points allowed to the running back position. They've allowed 13 rushing touchdowns on the season, which is 5th most in the league. So they're just having everybody from opposing running backs come and say, hey, have yourself a day. Enjoy the times. This is Lambeau, but we'll still win the game. But I think Derrick Henry is going to have a massive game.
Yeah, Austin, you talked about Ryan Tannehill. He's blessed with a couple good wide receivers in A.J. Brown and Corey Davis as well. Obviously, A.J. Brown's a stud. I think he's an auto start. We've talked at length about Green Bay's secondary being very good, very savvy against opposing wide receivers. But A.J. Brown's going to get a lot of Kevin King, who's given up 1.22 yards per route run. That's the most of any Green Bay cornerback, so you like to see that if you're an A.J. Brown GM. He's scored at least once in 9 of his last 11 games, 15 or more PPR fantasy points in 5 of his last 7s. I think the real question comes in Corey Davis. But Corey Davis has been really good himself. He's eclipsed 100 yards in 3 of his last 5 games, 4 or more catches in 4 of his last 7. Green Bay just giving up the 11th fewest points per game to fantasy wide receivers. But Corey Davis is going to be a big part of this passing attack in the highest over-under on the weekend. And like I said, maybe the highest over-under on the year. I'm firing up Corey Davis. I think he's going to be a little impervious to this matchup here. And I just think there's going to be points scored in this game. And so, Austin, I'll ask you about Jonnu Smith. Very touchdown dependent, very even. He's evened out as that breakout tight end. But how do we feel in this matchup?
I feel... Well, Jonnu Smith, we know that he's a touchdown-dependent tight end now, plus, because we know how involved he is on the field. He's always there. Anthony Ferguson is not real competition for Jonnu Smith. He's been really, really down since that week 1 through 5 run, but last week's 5 catches and 50 yards were the most that he's had since September, week 3, in fact. Green Bay lets up the 6th fewest points to tight ends, though. I'm not loving this matchup, but he is looking like he's more healthy. He does have a role in the offense. He's a streamable option, and he's not a bad streamable option unless you had a legit stud on your roster ahead of him.
Johnny, if you're saying that the run defense for the Packers is welcoming in Derrick Henry, like a backyard barbecue. I'm going to ask who's going to have better brats. Will it be the Tennessee passing defense, letting in Aaron Rodgers to their party, or will it be the other way around? I mean, Aaron Rodgers set up to really just dissect a terrible passing defense this week.
I mean, terrible passing defense is an understatement. I mean, they're giving up the 8th most touchdowns to opposing quarterbacks, 4th most passing yards to opposing quarterbacks, and giving up on average 283 passing yards. So Aaron Rodgers is going to be delivering much more than brats when it comes to this game. He'll probably be bringing the beer to put with the brats and make it even extra better with a couple onions in there. Roast those up. It's going to be fantastic. Aaron Rodgers, third quarterback right now in fantasy points amongst quarterbacks. Last week, it snapped a 4-game streak of 3 or more passing touchdowns. I expect that to get back on track this week, and he has thrown for 250 yards or more in 7 out of 9 games. He is going to absolute feast. I am scared out of my mind about this game with Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers isn't the only Aaron that we like this week. And so I'll ask you, Austin, how juicy is this situation? Speaking of bratwurst, how juicy is this situation for Aaron Jones against the Tennessee Titans?
Oh my God, Travis, it's so juicy. We've been talking a lot in the December 2020 period of convergence. We've got Saturn and Jupiter coming together. It's this perfect moment in time of variables happening, and it's this once in a lifetime observation. That's what we got with Aaron Jones in week 16. You got the great convergence times 2 right now. We're going up against the Titans, who have led up the 7th most points to fantasy running backs. So it's a pretty cake matchup already. And Jamaal Williams is dealing with a thigh injury. He's got to check his health throughout the week. He could be out, but you love this type of injury from an Aaron Jones perspective, because even if he's active, he's not going to be involved. His skill set ceiling is going to decrease. Jamaal Williams is. So whatever his status is, Aaron Jones's workload and expectations and need is going to go up for the Green Bay Packers. And last week, Aaron Jones saw a season-leading 20 touches, which he took for 145 yards and a touchdown. The man is very, very good. The offense is very, very good. His role on the team is solidified. The matchup is pretty cake. This could be like a 40-burger game if it all goes right. It's got to happen, but it's not even really a hard path for something like that to happen.
Look, Aaron Rodgers is very, very good. Aaron Jones is very, very good, and Davante Adams is very, very good. And look, last week was his first game in his previous 8 without a touchdown. If you got Davante Adams last week, you were very happy. If you get him this week, I can't imagine you think that that's going to continue this week, facing a Tennessee defense that has given up the 5th most receiving touchdowns to wide receivers in 2020. Give me Davante Adams, obviously, in a smash spot. The question becomes the weapons behind him. And you've heard me say multiple times, you could roll the dice here on MVS. Maybe I'm not going to go that route here, although Tennessee, 26 points per game they allow. That's the 7th most among any defense. I actually would fade MVS for Allen Lazard. I think he's the dart throw here. Highest snap share and target share since returning from his injury last week. And the over and under, the points, the matchup, I think it all leans to Lazard, who's gotten a little bit more target share over the last few games than MVS. So I think I would side with that. But Johnny, I think really the secondary option through the passing game has been Robert Tonyan.
Yeah, this guy's been on an absolute tear. He's gone over 40 yards twice in the last 6 games, which is pretty significant for a tight end who's kind of came up late. But here's what you really like. He scored a touchdown in 5 straight games. So I would roll out Tonyan. He's with those, Noah Fant, Hurst kind of plays, and I actually like him the second best out of those plays. I think I would have Noah Fant first, but then Tonyan as a second when you're trying to string.
You need to put some respect on Robert Tonyan's name, John.
I
He's
call
the
him
number
Bobby.
3
Okay,
tight end.
Listen,
He's
I call
the
him
number 3 tight end. He's mini Kittle, dude. He's not just a streamable tight end. He's locked in. He's an auto start.
Wait,
5 straight games with a touchdown. Let's go.
I heard. I have a little concern. I have a little cause for concern when you hear Aaron Rodgers give him the whole "God damn it, Bobby." You saw it last week on the game, and it makes me a little concerned. So that's all.
What I loved last week against Carolina, you saw the play he scored on. They went for it. He did say he did get pissed off at Rubber Tunyon. They went to the exact same play on the other side of the field. They did the old Madden L2 flip the play and just did the same play on the outlet. So I loved
and claimed
that.
it
I love
was
Robert Tunyon.
The best
I think Robert Tunyon's set for a good game against Tennessee. So
the best
I
is when
the
best is when you claim that you didn't just flip the play.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a different play.
Oh, Matt LaFleur, dude. You know you're dialed in as a play caller when you're just like you're feeling yourself so much you just flip the play to the other side of the field directly right after it. I always wonder how many times, this is a little off topic, when they come out there and then the defense calls a timeout, do they go to the exact same play and formation that they were going to call before the timeout? Wonder how many of those head games happen there. Just a little inside there. Hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you like what you saw, go ahead and click subscribe. And if you want to watch more fantasy football content, check out one of these videos.